My arrival back was greeted by a room that was messier than most crack houses. Pretzels everywhere, dust, dirt, they were all there. Both my father and I were a little taken back by this landfill of a room. As I expected, this led to a grand operatic speech by my father about how his dorm room was never this polluted. After a massive cleaning job, we got everything into place. I set up the television and got all my clothes put away. Things seemed alright. Some strange little noise. What is that? Is someone there? I forcefully turned myself around in a very savage sort of way to discover two young men entering the room. I didn't know either of them. I could tell the one leading the way was an RA. He was a cocky asshole who acted as if he knew everything was hung like a fucking elephant. I imagined that meant the quiet guy with the stupid Eskimo hat on behind him must be my new roommate. We shared a bizarre meeting, or at least I got to know his name. James. I could tell this James character was intensely busy filling out some bullshit form, which you have to fill out before you move into a room. Needless to say, our conversation didn't go too far. Then after he was done filling it out, he left the room. For quite a while. After about a half hour or so, my father and I were wondering if James was ever coming back. Then some hobo entered the room. Before I was able to tell that dirty son of a bitch to fuck off and look for food in a dumpster, he spoke. He asked if I knew where James had gone. So no one met his father. After telling this man, who never said his name, I guess it runs in the family, that his son had vanished like a bat out of hell, the filthy man made some remarks about now who was going to help carry up James's stuff. Perhaps he was expecting the new roommate to help. However, I didn't give a rat's ass. I went to lunch with my dad. After saying goodbye to my father, I returned to the room and noticed a few of James's things had arrived. But still no James. Realizing that there was no one else in the hall except for me, well, there was Katie who lived across the hall from me, but she was too busy fantasizing about Eminem to pay any attention to me. That guy is the biggest piece of shit I've ever seen in my life. He's lower than Nuggets. If I ever met him in person, I'd spit in his ugly face, pour gasoline at him, then burn him to death. Wait, what was I talking about? So there I sat, watching my new Robin Williams DVD when the Dirty One returned. With him was James's brother, whose name was not revealed either. They were bringing up the last of James's stuff, and as it turned out, they had still not found James. However, the three of us did have a brief conversation though. As I was told, they were from Franklin, a town nearby, which is why they chose the school. The brother remarked that he went to school in Delhi, which is also nearby, so he would come up often and visit. I can't tell you how happy that made me. It felt as if a ruby rose fountain of love was about to erupt from the back of my head. They finally gave up waiting for James to arrive and departed. As they left, the brother looked right at me, arranged his fingers to resemble guns, and said, "I'll see you next week." Still overcome with joy and pure happiness, I returned to watching my video. A surprise was in store for me, however. One of my quad-mates, Jamie, who I didn't expect to see back so soon, had returned. I was glad to see him and welcomed him back. Upon this, Jamie informed me that our other quad-mate, David, was not returning to school. His poor grades had kept him from re-entering the campus. We both assumed that the school would now assign Jamie a new roommate as well. I, who at this point was very unsure of this new James character, asked Jamie if I could move in with him, so we didn't have to room with people we didn't know. While Jamie unpacked his music equipment and other items, I sat in my old room waiting to move in. Then, after what seemed like an eternity apart, James finally came back to the room. With him was a lady friend, a young woman named Jessie. James also got to meet Jamie. While they were introducing themselves, Jamie asked where James was from. He replied by saying he spent some time in Plattsburgh, which is quite some distance from Franklin, but I didn't think anything of it. How could I? I was too busy thinking about how bad I wanted to see Snoop Dogg's Girls Gone Wild. Anyway, soon I found myself sitting in a room with James and Jessie. We were all together for around 15 minutes. I asked James basic get-to-know-you questions. Jessie didn't say anything though. She just watched James, almost as if monitoring his behavior. He never asked anything about me, however. I guess maybe I'm easy to figure out, or just come across as extremely boring. All in all, I thought the conversation went well, and perhaps my preconceived notions of him were untrue. After I moved in with Jamie, things seemed fine. Jamie even gave James his VCR to use, since James didn't have one of his own. James and Jessie chose not to go to dinner with the rest of us that had arrived. No big deal, we all thought. The next night, Jamie, Katie, and I, along with Sarah, another young lady who lived across the hall, were going bowling in the hallway. That night, James had guests. His brother and a friend of theirs who went bowling with us. James and Jessie chose not to play. No big deal. Maybe some other night.